stop telling the story of your past and start telling the story of your future. Stop believing in your past, real or imagined, and start believing in your future. Stop romancing the past and let's start romancing a future. So the unlearning process then, 95% of who we are is a set of memorized behaviors. Automatic emotional responses, unconscious habits, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions that are automatic like a computer program. So if we're in a program, then we're unconscious. So in order for us to change, we have to become conscious of our unconscious thoughts and the story and the narrative that we tell and those memories, to become familiar with how we speak or how we act and become so conscious that we don't go unconscious to that behavior. And then we have to look at the emotions that we live by every single day and realize, are these emotions loving to me? And then all of a sudden name it. Wow, this is actually guilt. I just didn't know it was guilt. Or unworthiness. It's just how I normally feel. And I use everything and everyone in my life to make this feeling go away. But if I'm relying on my outer world to change my inner world, when things are good, I'll feel good. But when things are bad, I'll feel bad. So changing your emotional responses to the challenges and circumstances in your life and no longer living by that emotion is no different than the withdrawals we get from a drug, because no new information can enter the nervous system that's not equal to the emotion the person is processing. So then you can tell the person the answer to the problems in their life, but unless they overcome that emotion, they'll be perceiving reality through that lens, a lens of the past. So then the fundamental point here is that the trauma then that the person is experiencing from the past, they're reliving that every single day. So then when it comes time to be defined by a vision of the future, if you're living in the past, it's so much easier to forget that vision than to remember it. So how do we remember the vision of the future? Well, we got to feel the feeling of the emotion before it occurs, before the event occurs. And if you're feeling the emotion before the event occurs, if you really practice trading resentment or impatience or sadness for an elevated emotion, you teach people the science behind that. If they're feeling the emotions of their future, they'll believe in their future more than they believe in their past. Teach them how to hold the intention of what that future is. And you take that thought and the feeling, the image and the emotion, the stimulus and response, and you can actually condition the brain and body into a different state of being. What's the importance of that? Somehow, the disease is there, and now the disease is gone. Somehow, the person's life wasn't changing because they weren't changing. The moment they start changing the way they think and the way they act and the way they feel, all of a sudden their life starts to change. So what's the importance of that? Well, if you're doing the work and you're seeing your life changing, you're going to want to do more of it. So you become a work in progress. So then you're always looking for the blind spots. It's no longer about your healing. You're not asking the question, why am I not healing? The real question is, what do I have to change about myself in order to heal? Now it becomes very practical for the person. So the unlearning process is one of the hard parts because you've got to light a match in a dark place. And if you're conscious, that means you're no longer unconscious. And if you're conscious and you're no longer unconscious, you're no longer in the program. So we begin to objectify or object ourselves. So how many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That's the moment of change. How many times do we have to go unconscious till we stop going unconscious and start staying conscious? That's the moment of change. And God, we get numerous opportunities in life. Every day is one lifetime. And if you just decided before you started your day who you no longer wanted to be, in thought, behavior, and emotion. Just remember that, stay conscious of it, and who you do want to be. And think about the thoughts you do want to think. Rehearse how you're going to behave in your life, with your family, with your kids, at work, on the Zoom call. And then think about, what emotions do I want to live by as if my future has already happened? So the cool thing about that is if you're feeling the emotions of your future before it happens, you're no longer looking for it. You're only looking for it when you're feeling the other emotions. When you feel those emotions before it happens, somehow those wonderful synchronicities and coincidences and opportunities begin to show up in our lives. And that proves to us we're the creators of our lives.